Welcome to Louisiana. My name is Xaelfas, and today I'll be sharing with you some of our scenic views and personal encounter with our state bird, the Meganura. Alright guys, we're going to get into some basic gameplay today a little bit more. Kind of showcase different pieces of the game. We're going to do a little bit of gathering here. Berries, as you can see, it's a dramatic increase from doing it by hand. Now the catch is you don't get any fiber out of this. You do get a, what would you say this is, 10 up to 20 fold return. Even though you're still getting a wide assortment, you're going to always end up with more than you could ever gather by hand. Now, no fiber out of this, but, you can do that once you unlock the sickle, which at this point I have not yet done, unfortunately. The game pretty much changes at that point because you go from spending, well, for me off camera, about 30 minutes or more just going and grabbing berries and things like that just for the fiber, and then you use that to make a few things and you go and get more. It's not a complaint whatsoever. It seems to give you more of a purpose-driven approach on things. Like, for instance, if you want to build and you've only got an evening to play, something like that, then that's what you'll most likely be doing for that evening. You want to go straight into some action, there's always wild dinos around to fight. And depending on the region you're in, which dinos you can face. Each dino in this game has its own little area. They all survive in certain biomes, and there are actual names for the locations that you're at as well on the map. Now, you have to open your menu to see it, or actually you can even hold the H button to show more details on your game. But other than that, you'll never really know where you're at. There is no, other than that little map you see me pick up every once in a while, things like that, there's no way to really tell either areas you've explored or where you're currently at until you just know it. For instance, I have built originally, like I said, down in this area. I did not realize how much more, I don't know, how would you say? I don't want to say safe, because it's, as you've seen, I've died a number of times already. Right here, by the way, just so you know, went ahead and built the final piece for the irrigation to start growing some extra narco berries in there. Freezing up, but throwing that thatch in there. You mix poop and thatch, make some fertilizer. Gonna keep everything growing in there. As long as you maintain fertilizer, you'll continue to grow. So even after it's fruiting, if it's fruits and vegetables or some other crop, you will continue to get yield so long as you maintain fertilizer, which is actually quite easy, even though it happens over time. The crops grow relatively slow compared to any other element of the game. Being on single player, obviously I have greater control over all these factors as well. That's one of the upsides to it. There are definitely downsides. Like, for instance, let's say I want to go ahead and start showing you guys some crops grow all the way through in a quick time sequence. That just means a bunch of idle AFK time, something like that. And, not necessarily the best way to play things. But as you can see, we've started on this bridge over here, crossing over from the house, going right to the Bronto at the moment. So, we're getting a few things going with crops, playing around with that a little bit. Now, moving forward, been working on this little bridge here to have a bit of a safer area to cross with either wounded dinos or wounded Harry, of course. Now, the real reason behind this is convenience, for one. Like, let's say it's cold out. You can freeze to death if you hit some water and you're taking a little bit too much damage towards the end. Even though you get that close to base, you can die anywhere. Also, Mega Piranha can spawn in the water, and they can come out from quite a distance. In theory, you could get a Megalodon in here. It's a bit too shallow to really worry about something like a Megalodon, but, it's feasible. And let's just kind of block off a section of water a little bit, too. I mean, things could still swim between the pillars, things like that, but every little bit helps. Also, the building's a bit wonky in this game. It's very particular about where you place things, and on occasion you'll go to do something that'll work, 9 out of 10 times and won't work on that 10th time, and you won't have an explanation. And every time that happens, you just kind of have to change your building plan. You have to go back and alter the overall idea a little bit just to compensate for the change. But it's one of the things you learn while playing the game. I'm sure things will get smoother in the building, as a lot of people want to build large things in this game. We're going to move ahead forward. We're going to the Louisiana section of this. And I only pick on my neighbors because I'm a native Texan. And, I haven't ever known one of us that had anything too great to say that's gone through Louisiana. A lot of swamps as far as I've seen, but, I haven't hit any of the major scenes anyway, so I can't pick on y'all too hard. Went out here mostly to gain experience. I'm at the edge of the swamp area now. I've been jumping on rocks and things trying to scope out this area because, frankly, it's one of the most dangerous areas in the game. You go in, you see your first target, you start fighting it, you don't notice the 10 things behind you and off to the sides of you that go to kill you. And they've done a great job. The swamp biome was added to the game after I started playing it, and it's very unique to the rest of the game. As a matter of fact, one of my major bases that I had, they converted to the swamp area. I thought my base was going to be gone. I'd done quite a bit of work there. I was completely encircled by large behemoth gates, is what they're called in the game. We'll go into more of those later on as we progress in the game. Now, you'll notice that there's a little book that pops up on the screen. You can always pause to read that. It's also located at the Arc Wiki for more info. Now, I'm doing my best to kite these snakes because 1 bite can knock you out. 2 will definitely knock you out. So, they're some of the most dangerous things to fight in the game. They have pretty good yields, though. They can give you prime meat. You can get loot like here. You get really good experience. My main drive for being at the edge of the swamp here was experience. And although these guys aren't really, mosquitoes, they kind of fit the bill for the game. I doubt they'll add another bug like mosquitoes, so they cover pretty good ground. They're more like large dragonflies than anything. They're also deceptively strong. You can kill quite a big group of them, like you see me here. Crouching and swinging is your best answer. You'll learn that in Survival of the Fittest when the game spawns a whole swarm to attack you no matter what you're doing. But, yeah, it's Swampland, basically gonna you kill one thing, you're gonna get swarmed by them. And if you don't, it's a rarity. They're attracted by the corpses. But I need the chitin, or chitin, however you want to say it. So, getting levels, gained 2 or 3 at this point. Going a little bit forward, I see this beauty. Now, taming takes quite a while. And at this point, I'm fairly tired in my evening. I've worked a full day before recording. But the colors on this frog are just too cool to me. So, let's go for it, And notice the skull crossbones in bottom left. These guys also will knock you out. So, they may not, do a ton of damage, but they don't really have to either. Now, good news, you have something pass out in water, or you shoot it too many times like I did there, then you'll notice there's no oxygen bar below the stamina on this guy. So, frogs won't drown if you go ahead and knock them out in water. Now, as I mentioned earlier, mega piranha, other carnivores in the water are a problem. So if you're doing it in a wide open area, you've got to babysit quite a bit more. But it's not necessarily a bad thing to use an area like this where you're going to have a bit of a gap between, if nothing else, spawns between land carnivores and water. But so I'm hoping to get this guy. He's going to open up a lot more ground because where we're at currently, you don't see me going to explore much or anything like that, simply because we're restricted by our own movement speed and things like that as far as we can reach. And without flying, which would be pretty soon at this point, I would have probably started working on a flyer pretty soon, then we need some mode of transportation that's relatively fast. Now here's the problem. That's a Carnosaur. And he's way too close to my tame for comfort. Now they will aggress your dinos that you're taming as well. I'm really surprised that this Carno didn't right here. So, although I'm not really interested in taming one, I figure I might as well make the attempt. A best efforts, if you will. They're very quick. It'll be a little bit of time before I can get a mount on this guy and make real use of him. But right now we don't really have anything strong to, walk around with us to help us level up or defend us, say, from that 96 Raptor from before. This guy's not that level, but, a Carnosaur is a tier higher than if you want to think of it in a tier system anyway. It's just a much larger, it's a fairly fast carnivore, and it offered the best protection I could really use out of what I would typically take with me anyway. Not that the trike couldn't do it. I nearly lost my tame here anyway. Almost ran completely out of topor. Barely have any berries. Didn't have anything with me. Wasn't intending to do a tame. And it looks like he's impaled on the stick for a bonus. So we're just going to kind of move forward on our taming times, because you guys don't need to sit here and watch it the entire time. So I think they did a very good job in the colorations on these giant frogs, if you will. It definitely stands out compared to many things. And they serve so many utilities, in my opinion, especially in swamp areas like this. Now, the catch is, I'm not sure if everything works like this, but the hierarchy of carnivores and herbivores and things eating one another, they seem to be fairly low on the food chain, because once you have one tamed, I have a really difficult time not aggroing everything in the entire area coming at me. It's at times obscene, because you'll have, things that were out of your line of sight for not so much a distance, just in a wide area that you can't see them, they can't see you, but they're all coming for you already typically. So they're great also though for evading anything. I've had T-Rexes trying to get me and things like that on a frog, and I just toyed around a little bit with them, because I use them primarily for gathering a resource that we need all the time, which is cementing paste. It's a primary thing in building with, actually a number of things, but especially when you get into metal structures and things like that. And originally I had gone into metal structures and things on my first playthrough. It's quite a bit of fun. Now, that Carnotaur, I should say, has caused me a bit of a headache. I didn't intend on taming one. I actually didn't intend on taming anything. I just wanted to come out here and gain some levels. But now it's become, tame these things now and get them back and to utilize them later and try to get back to base and go to bed. So these guys, prime meat speeds up your tames on carnivores dramatically. It's, I want to say, a 4 times multiplier. It probably varies on different dinos. I mean, some tames are just so much easier than others. It's a bit different. The parachutes come in handy so much early game. It's something if you're doing a playthrough, I'd always recommend you grab. It's going to save you a lot of time. You can use it as a form of transport at times. And it doesn't remove you from, every obstacle. You run into new problems if you misjudge things. So, we got that going. So I broke away and I decided to craft a raft. And it takes a decent amount of material, so I'll usually go cut down a bunch of trees, gather a bunch of fiber, and then throw one up. Now, the main reason for me building this raft is it just seems like the easiest way to get two tames out at the same time. I don't want to, you know, try to lure these guys across the water with a bunch of megapiranha. There are actually quite a bit of them in the water right over in this side of the map, especially this little pool area right here next to me. I was very lucky the frog was not in deeper water, or he would have definitely died to piranha at some point. They spawned like crazy out here. And that Carnotaur is, you know, just as much a victim. But what you probably can't see in the footage here is that there's the Spino that's really close by, and it's getting way too close for comfort, even before I finish my tames. That's why I've named that boat, the raft, a Spino Escapo, because I was a little bit afraid that he was going to work his way just a bit within aggro range. And the moment he's in aggro range, we can't get away. It's simply too fast, both on land and water. Covers terrain in a way that nothing I have can. And there he is. So we've got a frog, we've got our Carno, we've got our guys back at base. Carno is definitely going to make for better defense at the base. The trike helps tremendously, but Don Carno is going to be in charge for now. And, you know, we haven't named our frog yet. I guess we'll just have to see. But, wanting to get out of here. Get all this time I've spent taming these guys out of here before it's lost effort. And as you can see, Don's having a bit of trouble here. And I'll try to, you know, maneuver him around and get him up here however I can. Let's just get out of here before we get eaten. And of course, the stupid Dilo. What? He's running away. Why are you running, buddy? I don't know, he sees stuff like that. Made me wonder what was chasing him. But he didn't seem damaged or anything like that, of course. You know, making things work sometimes is the hard part. Took him off follow. Alright, we should be alright. And... come on. What's wrong with you, boat? You know, whole purpose is to get out of here. Get away from a Spino that's really close by. And for some reason, we're stuck. And you'll notice we were moving around just fine a minute ago. But now suddenly that we have everything built, we've got these guys on it and everything else, it just doesn't want to work for us. Just absolute silliness. But that happens. So plan B. I'm not going to build another raft. I will keep trying to see if I can get it out of here at any cost, you know? There's that Spino you can finally see in the background there. Sorry if you have to track back to see it. But, yeah. You always hope to get some kind of angle where you're going to be free. Because it's as if I'm stuck on the ground. But the water here has sufficient depth for a raft. I've taken them in and out of this area more than once. The other thing could be like an invisible rock or something like that. That can happen on spawns. But I haven't actually broken any rocks out here. So I don't see how that could be an issue. Oh well. Even tried to use a console command to fly it out, and it didn't work, guys. So, and by fly it out, I mean fly it up just to get it unstuck and set it back down in the same position. But no, it does not work on a raft whatsoever. Went back to base. Obviously, it was a little more of a worry getting back, but surprisingly, nothing attacked us crossing the water. I just went a little bit up into deeper parts of the water, more dangerous. But I was very fortunate. The only thing I saw was a Megalodon in the distance fighting. Got our bridge done here. Went ahead and just finished it up a little bit. Real basic. Made it 3 wide right here on the edges. I'll carry that all the way across at some point, just whenever I feel like it's you know, one day it'll instantly be a little bit bigger. But just kind of giving you guys a little view of what's going on. So now that we got everybody back safe and sound at base, it's time to do a little hunting, as we always tend to. Don needs his levels, I need my levels. Clearly I've forgotten to tell Don to attack my target, so it's just Harry versus a scorpion. And he survives, obviously. So, you know, just running him around, seeing what's up here. There's not too many predators up here. I'm sometimes hesitant to kill the herbivores and things up here. For instance, that Giganto, the large ape over there, could potentially kill Don, actually. They're deceptively strong. They're almost as strong, if not stronger, than some T-Rexes in the map, depending on level and things. But, yeah, so they get to live. They will aggro if you get too close to them sometimes. Has something to do with their line of sight. But, you know, random stock trikes, things like that, have at it. So, and this is just a small clip of, you know, some of the leveling. Obviously, we wiped out a good amount more. Killed a bunch of bugs up here. And just random things. And look, it flies! One thing you will notice on occasion. So I bring him back. He's gained some levels. 17 now. We need to see if we can get a saddle on this guy over here. He'll be a form of transport. Dave really serves no purpose anymore other than just being Dave at the base. Steve gets to hang out with us. He's never really going to serve a true purpose, but he's here. And unfortunately, so is a Spino. See him attacking the water, eating fish. Well, he's going to continue to do that and just until, you know, something leads in one direction or another. And unfortunately, the fish spawn all the way in the water, so he's going to end up working his way upstream. So I need to figure out something, because Don and the crew, if I could kill him, even assisting them, we're going to take some losses. And depending on what his level is, would depend on the severity of the problem. But definitely lose a chunk of things here. And they can destroy the base as well. You know, it would take quite a while for a smaller dinosaur to kill a structure, but not that guy. They have a pretty big attack that he'd be eating a chunk of the base that I've spent time putting together. You know, temporary or not, it's never awesome to lose a big chunk of time and have to redo it, or have that be forcing you to transplant. I once watched another YouTuber, I wish he still did ARC videos, but he would basically start a base, and as soon as he would start being able to venture out from the base he'd just constructed, things would go horribly awry, and he would abandon his base, and the next episode would be starting a new base. It was great to watch. Well, obviously a lot less mechanic talk and jargon than I tend to throw out there at you guys, but, you know, I'm still trying to get a feel for this, see what's worth mentioning, what's not, but having fun all the way. I'm constantly trying to figure out what to do about the Spino, but I have an idea. You notice I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of Narcos. Let's see. I'm thinking, and this might be a bit crazy, a bit early in levels. I'm thinking that the best thing we can possibly do is try to tame that Spino. And he's faster, he can cover terrain that I can't, things like that. As we've seen already, I can kill a Spino with the right conditions, but you know, we're right here, we're next to that bluff, and I'm not a horrible shot. It's a distance from that bluff, but I'm thinking if we get enough arrows going and everything else, if he's not too high of a level, we can bring him down. Now, I don't think we can. I mean, it's possible we could tame him, but it's not exactly a likelihood at this point. back when I first started playing, at that time, Spinosaurs were the hardest thing to tame in the game. T-Rexes were easy by comparison because these guys wake up a lot faster than most dinosaurs. There's been a few that have been added since that are a lot faster, but those are weird exceptions, like a Giganotosaurus, I think is how you say their names. They're actually a massive dino that if we see, we will not be fighting. Not anytime soon, for that matter. They're quite the threat. And a wild one, for some reason, is, I want to say, 5 times stronger than the one that's tamed. So I don't completely understand the logic there, other than, you know, having some sort of threat that's persistent in the game, so that no matter how good you are or where you're at in the game, it's going to be some sort of threat if you're dealing with them. At least I'm hoping that's why. So I'm really worried about him. I drag all these guys over here. I'm gonna go for it. And you know, worst case scenario, we're close to base. You know, this goes bad. We figure out a way to get to our body, and then we find a way to get this guy, drag him away, or kill him. But you know, we're gonna try something. Now, these guys take quite a long time, and if we're successful, then quite a bit of effort, even if he's a low level. The first Spino I ever tamed, I thought I was gonna die, and I was just up the beach from here. It was a level 8. Its name was Fluffy, and you know, they're cute and cuddly. And yeah, it didn't go so well for Fluffy. Quickly thereafter, there was a Fluffy 2.0 because I did not know at this time, but alpha raptors, which I've seen one slight image of a raptor so far in this playthrough, but we haven't really seen any. There aren't any in this area too close that are a threat to us or anything like that. But alphas are an exception to the size of a dino mattering as much, things like that, because an alpha raptor will kill a low-level Spino without any effort. So we've got our arrows crafted up, we've gone and gathered some berries, we got our dinos away, he's still moving closer. It's time we move into action, guys. Now, unfortunately, we're going to wait till the next episode, but let's see how things go from here, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know we took a little bit of a slower pace on this one, but if you do enjoy it, please hit the like button. It'll help support the channel in the future, and once we hit 100 subscriptions, we'll actually be able to have a real name for the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Here's the loot that we gathered at this interval. Take it easy, y'all.